There is nothing worse than untapped potentials. If you know that you're made for more, this is the place. I know that every successful person I've ever met has one thing in common. They do not let themselves fall victim to their circumstances. They figure out a way to rise above it. So join me on this journey where I help you to be better, do better, and have better in life and in business. If you're feeling stuck and you're needing some practical tools, some hope to get you to that better life, this is definitely the place for you. Hey everybody, welcome to the Unstuck Podcast. I am your host, Lachellewieme, and I get a chance to introduce you guys to health coach Janice. Girlfriend, thank you so much for popping on today. You and I got a chance to meet recently. We have so much in common, and I cannot wait for our audience to get a chance to learn from you and be inspired by your amazing story. So welcome to the Unstuck Podcast, my friend.
Thank you, Lachelle. Thank you for having me.
So, Janice, I want you to tell us in your words who you are, how you're showing up in the world. Kind of tell us from your summit of the mountaintop as of today, because we both know that there's going to be another summit. But as of today, how far have you come, and what are you doing to show up in the world?
Well, my name is Janice Wisneski. I'm known as your health coach, Janice. I am a health coach for women, specifically in menopause and women over 50. I help them to transform their bodies and their minds and get on with the rest of their life so they can have a wonderful life. That's basically what I do.
I love that. And I know that your story, you and I really related because you weren't always a health coach. You actually had a whole nother career that you were doing that is really important. And I'm going to thank you for your service, but I'm going to have you describe to us, Janice, if you can tell us your story and help us to understand when you personally have felt stuck in your life.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much for asking. Well, I spent the last 30 years of my life as a respiratory therapist, and I'm still a respiratory therapist at heart. However, I left my position back in August. I was a frontline healthcare worker, so I worked directly in the pandemic with patients. It was, to say stressful is just an understatement. It's overwhelming. It's something that you don't really realize what you're in until you walk outside of it and look at it that way. Because I think when you're in a situation where it's, things aren't going well, you think, it's going to be okay. It's going to pass. And this thing never passed and it never passed. And I was just devastated. I was getting older. I'm almost 60. At the end of my career, I thought I was going to do respiratory therapy until I retired or I died, whichever one came first. Yeah. But I found myself like in the corner of the equipment room sobbing and just couldn't do it anymore. I just physically couldn't do it. I mentally couldn't do it. And then I'm also hearing impaired. So that kind of gave like another tweak into that whole thing. I had foreseen some things coming. And so I knew that I was going to have to find a new career or something else to do. I didn't want to sit at home. So I had taken some health coaching classes online. I became certified in health coaching, certified as a personal trainer, and I'm also a certified success principles trainer with Jack Canfield. So I did all of that and I had things in place. And at one moment in time, I was like, just that's enough. And so I left my position and walked into health coaching.
I love that. And I think that there's some things that I want to unpack in that, because for those of us who are listening, we might be able to relate in whatever it is. Maybe you're a teacher in this pandemic. Maybe you're in healthcare in general. Maybe you just are stuck in general, right? So many of us find ourselves, crying in the corner of the equipment room in our own, way. I've been there, been in the bathroom, tears rolling down my face for sure. And oftentimes then we just kind of think that this is just it. And we show up the next day and we just do it again. But part of our hearts just slowly kind of wither away each day that we show up doing that, holding back tears. And I love the fact that you recognized inside of yourself that you needed to do something. I want you to take us through that. Is that just part of who you are? Or was there something that happened that made you decide, like, you know what, I'm ready for something new. I'm ready for something different.
You know what? That is a great question. I got to tell you, I think one of the things that shifted in my mind, first of all, I knew that things weren't going well. And as the process went on, I shortened my time, my hours at work and things like that. And it just wasn't working. So I think in the whole gist of things, I knew that things weren't working. It's kind of like going through a bad marriage. You kind of know that things aren't going well. And so you try to search for solutions and ways to fix it. I had a coworker actually tell me, I kind of went off at work. And if you're in the medical field or, I don't know, maybe at your own work, whatever you do, there's a point in time where something just triggers you. And I went off and my coworker said, then why don't you just quit? And I don't think anybody ever said that to me before. Mm-hmm. So I was like, wow, what a great idea. Why don't I just quit? That's, shocker. Yeah. I think sometimes you need to have that, just that permission. And once that entered my space, it was something that I felt like, maybe I need to do that. Maybe that's what I need to do.
Yeah. And, so many times I think we pull up to, the place that we work and we kind of are attached to the golden handcuffs, the pension, the retirement, all of the things that you had safely stowed away in your career of many, many years. Right. And that is just so hard to say no to. But the threshold can get lower and lower and lower until one day, one tiny sentence from a coworker literally changed everything. That threshold then finally was crossed. And you're like, you know what? The pension, the retirement, everything, it's not worth it anymore. I can't do this anymore. And I just got to tell you, way to go, because I literally do talk to people every single day who are just buying time until they can, retire with full benefits. They're buying time until they can live their life. And then I'm also faced with, because I'm in healthcare too, those days don't come. Something happens, somebody gets sick, somebody gets, in a car accident. And so I think that it's so important for us to recognize that when we have that, I don't have the fancy enough car yet, but I don't have those guards that beep at you when you're crossing the line when you're driving. But I almost think of it like that, right? Like we have these guards that tell us things aren't going so well. And you have to listen to that internal intuition until finally you're just like, yeah, this isn't working.
Yeah, it's definitely something that, it can come on slow and so you don't recognize it, or it can just hit you in the face and like that. I actually had, I had prepared myself after that moment. I was like, okay, I need to maybe move into a different direction. And I was looking at things anyway, because I was in healthcare, which I coined the phrase sick care. It's sick care. Mm-hmm. It's not healthcare anymore. And I wanted to get into a place where I could help people to move more towards really health. And so that kind of motivated me. There was one other thing that happened though. I had picked up a bunch of hours at work, and they were offering, pandemic pay or whatever they called it, some extra pay. Yeah. And they shorted me on my paycheck all that time. Mm-hmm. And then around I think it was the same day, I had to stay over because there was nobody to relieve me, because if you know the exodus from healthcare, everybody's leaving. So there wasn't anybody to relieve me. And I walked out to my car that night after I'd been sobbing in the equipment room and had a flat tire.
Oh my gosh.
Now, I'm going to let your listeners know that if you have one sign, it's a sign. If you have two signs, they're pushing you. And if you have three signs, that you're off the cliff and it's just time to go. So that was it. I mean, I went home, I cried the whole way home, and I thought, that's it, I'm done. And I told my husband, and he's like, no, you're leaving. So,
and I'm guessing that when you made that decision in the car on the way home, even though it was a difficult decision, I'm asking you, was there peace that came over you when you kind of made that decision because it was something that you knew that you needed to do? Or were you filled with anguish? Tell me about that.
Oh no. As soon as I made the decision, it was like a weight lifted off my shoulders.
Yeah.
It was where we get to a point, there's something in our subconscious. There's a fear level that we have, and it protects us. Our subconscious wants to protect us from pain and anguish and all the other things. So there's this point in fear. Well, there's a space beyond that fear. If you can get beyond that point, then it opens up a whole new dimension to you. But we bump up against that fear point and we don't go past it because we think it's going to cause us pain or whatever. And our minds just tell us don't do it. But I'm telling you, when you take that next step, things open up. And if you open your heart to it and you open your mind to it, things will come to you. The universe will give you what you need if you let it.
Yeah. I think that, I'm kind of a nerd, right? And I love to study the way that our brain works and our subconscious. And our subconscious is running the show like 90% of the time, 90 to 95% of the time. And just like you said, our subconscious or our ego is there to keep us safe. It's there to protect us. And so it's going to tell us when we're bumping up against the scary stuff, and it's going to encourage us to come back. But if we don't consciously make a decision to go past that, we're going to stay stuck. And oftentimes I think about risk and fears as overinflated, very unlikely things to happen. And I would love to know from your perspective, because you have a lot of credentials, what would you tell somebody who's up against that fear bumper and they're letting their subconscious or their ego really try to keep them safe, but they're trying to break through with their consciousness and they're trying to get past that part of that's holding them back? What would you tell them?
I can tell you, I was there. I mean, I was there. I was scared. It wasn't something easy for me to do, to leave a career of 30 years and to leave it behind. But you either do it or you don't. And I'm kind of like that kind of person. It either is or it isn't. And to waste so much time, precious time in our lives, to keep waiting for that perfect time, or waiting for, to have enough money in the bank, or waiting until this happens or that happens. You're waiting and waiting and waiting. We only have one life. You only have one chance in life to make a difference. Yeah. And whatever that difference is going to be, it has to come. It has to come. And so you have to push past that fear. You have to, and it's, it's very easy to say when you're past it and you've come into the knowing that things are going to be okay.
Yeah.
But, look for those things. Look for those small things. This is what I say, like, Rose and Jack with the, on the Titanic, like he could have gotten on that plank. Like there was enough room for him on that board. So if the universe is giving you a sign and giving you something in front of your face and saying, just do it, just do it. What's the worst that can happen? I think we make things so scary in our heads. What's the worst that can happen? If it doesn't work, you'll find something else, right?
Right. And that's the thing that I oftentimes tell people, like, really truly think about that. What is your worst fear? What is the worst thing that could happen? And truly name it. And then think about what would you do if that happened? And if you can walk yourself through how you would cope with that, the very worst thing that could possibly happen, you've already prepared yourself for. And we can talk it down from being so catastrophic to like, okay, I can deal with that. I've overcome so much up to this point. Like I can make that happen. And it sounds to me that you kind of had a realization, I guess, of what you enjoy doing and what you're passionate about outside of your respiratory therapy career that allowed you to have that springboard to go off in that direction. I find that a lot of people don't know what it is that they want to do. They don't have that sense of knowing that part of themselves. What would you tell those people?
I think really find something that you're passionate about. I was passionate about healthcare. I still am. That's what I'm passionate about, helping people to find wellness. But find something that you're passionate about. It could be something small. I mean, there are people who make huge businesses on teaching people how to crochet or knit. There's people who make huge businesses on training, pets, even online. You don't even have to do it in person anymore. Find something that you're passionate about. You'd be shocked at the people that I meet in different business, different areas of business, that I was like, wow, that's amazing. I mean, I have a friend who I met long distance who does hula hooping. I mean, there's something like, I'm like, what is that? Like, who does that? So find what you're passionate about and just do it. And the other thing is to open your heart to the fact that things can work out and that things will work out. So every morning I'm grateful for all the things that I have. I give my gratitude to the universe or whatever, thing you want to call it. I'm happy and grateful for every single thing that I have. And I always act as if. So even if I don't think that I am who I am, because there's those moments when you kind of worry that you're not going to be able to do it. I'm so happy and grateful that I'm an amazing, successful businesswoman. Just say it. And if you say it enough, you start to believe it. And then your subconscious starts to believe it. And then the rest of you starts to believe it. And then things start to move forward.
Absolutely. If we can reprogram the paradigm or the programming inside of our subconscious, because it's on autopilot 95% of the time, if we can start to retrain that part of our body and our brain to believe a certain narrative that we are controlling, when it kicks into autopilot, it's just becoming the new version of who you want to be and who you're designing yourself to be, right? And that's so important because long before you believe it's possible or that you see it, you have to almost act as if it already is, right?
That is exactly what I'm saying. That is exactly it. Just act as if. And monitor, like do that, like reflect everything that that person would do, reflect everything that that business owner would do, or that that person teaching this would do. And just act as if, pretend it's okay. You can do it.
Did you already get your certifications before you stopped working in healthcare and respiratory care, or did you do that after the fact?
I did. Like I said, I knew that something was going to happen. I knew that I couldn't do it for the rest of my life. And whether I use that certification now or later, I knew that I would use it. So I did go online. I did online learning. So I became certified as a health coach and personal trainer online with that. And then after I left, I started training with the Jack Canfield group with the Canfield Success Principles trainer. I did that after. I love learning. I'm just a learning junkie.
Me too.
So.
I know. Me too. And, that's so great because I think that, one of the things that I do is I serve people who start side gigs. And I think that the whole side gig or side hustle culture allows us to start exploring different parts of ourselves and what we're good at and what our passions are while we have this giant safety net of our career, right? And as we build our confidence level, as we build our knowing of what we're enjoying and knowing what we love, then it's a little bit easier to jump. And so I love that that's something that you did and you were able to affirm in yourself when the timing was right, that this was exactly what you were going to do.
Yeah, I'm really very passionate about following your dream. I mean, I think the older we get, the more you're like, you know what, you got to just do it. I wish I knew knew when I was 20 what I know now.
Yeah.
I think my whole life would have been so spectacular. I mean, it was wonderful as it is. I'm not saying it's bad.
I'm just going to say, that is the perfect segue to, I want to get you, the next part of our conversation, to tell us, if you were to give yourself advice, your 20-year-old self advice, what would you tell yourself after this brief little segment where I'm going to tell you guys all about what I've been working on? I am so stinking excited to share with you a way for you to get balance back. So how can you grow your business online without having to sacrifice all of the things, and how you can try to do it without feeling like you're freaking married to your phone. So I'm going to tell you all about that here real quickly. And then Janice, I want you to give us all of your best advice as far as what you would tell your younger self and how you can help us move from where we are to where we want to be. Hey, lachellewieme here, and I gotta ask you, are you feeling like you're always on your freaking phone and you're trying to run your business, your family's complaining about you always being on your phone, you feel like you're winging it constantly, and all you want to do is have a strategy that lets you be 100% authentic and you are literally attracting the right people to you? Oh my goodness, that was me too. And I had to figure out a system that would make that work. And I totally nailed it. I have a program all designed to help you do that too, including a chance to spend the entire day with me so I can help you write copy that attracts people, and you will literally be done for an entire year. If that sounds like it's something that you need, we totally need to talk. Go ahead and click this link and let's get started. Okay, Janice, oh my goodness. I am so excited just to hear. I'm such a nerd and I just love to learn from other people and the wisdom from other people and the experiences of other people. So what advice would you give your younger self, and how can we glean that advice and that wisdom to help ourselves get from where we are to where we want to be?
Absolutely. Well, I got to say, I was a normal kid. I was a normal kid, and I was a first generation college graduate out of my family. So I've successfully done that. Mm-hmm. But beyond that, I mean, if I knew then what I knew now, I went into healthcare because it was a quick way to get in and out of college and make some money. That's exactly mm-hmm. why I went into healthcare. I had no idea what I was getting into, and boy, oh boy, it turned out to be an amazing career.
Yeah.
But I think I didn't look beyond that. I could have gone so much farther if I had just expanded my horizons and felt like, you know what, it's okay if you try it and it doesn't work. I don't believe in failure. I don't think there's any failure. The only time you fail is when you stop doing what you're doing and give up. So I would say just don't, just continue to work forward, progress forward. Really, really good mindset is important. And if you can't figure it out, like do some affirmations. Like affirmations are amazing. Giving gratitude for what you have. And then, like I said, moving forward with things. I think it's really important to understand that if you don't try, it'll never work. So you have to give it a chance.
I think that so many of us are programmed, honestly. My husband's a teacher, so I feel like I have even a more intimate view in how we raise our kids. And we're taught from a very early age to not raise your hand unless you know the answer. Or I'm not going to raise my hand because I don't want to look stupid. And I'm not going to try out for that because I'm probably not going to get it. Like I remember being afraid to fail so much when I was a kid. And then it just gets more and more dreadful. And we fear it as we get older. And I would love for us to be able to start fostering that failing forward philosophy, right? Early on, so that we can just say there's never anything that's a true failure if you learn from it, right?
Absolutely. I wish I had taken that. I was a really young parent. I wish I had taken that, that spectrum, that style of teaching with my own children. However, I am doing it with my grandson. So we had a discussion the other day about failure and how you're not a failure. You're never a failure. You just found a way that didn't work.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the thing. What is it? Thomas Edison, 10,000, attempts to create the light bulb. And so he failed 9,999 times, right? Before he finally got it. And so I think that we have to remember that he had to fail in order for it to be successful. And I think so many of us just want to try something and it just work out perfectly. And if we don't, then we suck, or we're a failure, or we're not cut out for this, or that's not our gifting, or all the things. So thank you for that reminder. What are some of the things, Janice, that you have learned to feed your soul, feed your brain, feed your body now that you are on this, new trajectory in your life? And tell us a little bit about what you're doing to feed all those things that we can learn from you.
Well, I'm really into getting into the right mindset for sure. I got to say something else, but like when you're thinking about yourself, when your listeners are thinking about, wow, I wish I could do that, or I wish I had that, that strength, that inner strength or whatever to do it. Yeah. I just have to tell you, every day I think about the lives that I'm touching. I think about the lives that I'm changing. I'm able to change in whatever way I'm doing that. I do it through health coaching, and I do it through health coaching with women who want to live to see their grandchildren grow up. They want to live to be at their grandson's wedding. That's my why. Mm-hmm. So, I really encourage your listeners to just really think about that. Think about the lives that they're going to touch, that if they don't do what they think they should be doing, because that thought is in your mind for a reason. It didn't just pop in there. That thought is in your mind for a reason. So it's probably a good idea to act on it for that positive move forward.
Yeah, that's really,
I definitely
smart.
do that. I, with my own clients, do that all the time. I mean, we do mindset training. That's part of my whole thing. They come for the weight loss and they stay for the mindset.
Yeah. Tell me more about that. Tell us about your clients that you help. Where are they stuck typically when they come to you?
Typically I work with women anywhere from the age of 35 up to, I think my oldest client is 75 years old. But typically I work with women who are in middle age and they're going through like changes. We go through changes in life. The kids are moving out of the house, maybe for the third or fourth time, but they're moving out of the house. Forward with your life, and you're trying to figure out exactly what you're going to do with that. You've helped all these other people your whole life, and now it's time to take care of you and to help yourself. The other thing is, the older we get, the more susceptible we are to diseases. And there's all kinds of things that are going on out there with weight, diabetes, dementia, all the things that we are facing as older adults. Mm-hmm. And there's so many things that you can do naturally to take care of that. So I help my clients just focus on, first of all, weight loss, because when you lose weight, if you have weight to lose, it's definitely a better thing. We do a lot of inflammation loss. I do an anti-inflammatory diet. So we do a lot of that. And then just moving forward and helping them to cope with all the other things, because it's never just about the food. You know, if it was about the food, you could Google it and we'd all be a size 2. So that's never what it's about. At the end, everybody's like, gosh, I came for the weight loss and I stayed for the health, you know, so.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And I think that, I'm trying to put into words exactly what you said really resonated with me. But I just find that women really do struggle sometimes with just finding that health place where they can love themselves and they can feel vibrant and they can feel alive. And that sometimes we don't put ourselves first, we're putting everybody else first. And it's when we actually take some intentionality and some direct focus on ourselves, we can find that we ultimately can serve everybody else even more effectively, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. And the mindset things are so important. Like, just like you said, I mean, I could Google how to whatever diet and I could figure it out, but there's so much more going on. I am kind of curious. Tell me about the inflammation diet, because I am curious on how that impacts just everything, because I've heard some things about it, but you're the expert.
Well, I lost 70 pounds about 5 or 6 years ago.
Wow.
And so, and it was with a keto lifestyle, and I still follow that today. It's really an anti-inflammatory lifestyle. So what happens is when you're eating the wrong foods for your body type, you tend to, things just get inflamed and they get puffy and you get that belly bloat and you get that, you know, the swollen face look and your joints hurt and, you know, it's harder to get around. And then when you're eating, in my situation, you're eating a lot of carbs and a lot of sugar, you end up with diabetes, you end up, you know, they call dementia, like they call Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes. So, you know, we're going into all that. And then it doesn't just affect your blood sugars. It doesn't just affect, you know, your pancreas and the insulin. Then you're getting into multi-organ failure, you're losing limbs and things like that. Those are things that can be prevented. And for the most part, not always, but they're preventable things that happen. Joint pain, you know, inflammation. It's just really like lowering the carbs, getting rid of the sugar, which I know is shocking. You know, nobody said anything when I ate Twinkies and Pop-Tarts for breakfast. But now that I eat bacon and eggs, everybody's worried about me. So, you know, it's kind of funny, but it's just all about finding out what's good for you and what works for you.
I think that what I could do is package all of this conversation into really just acknowledging and having the awareness of where you are right now and thinking about it in terms of, okay, well, my career, do I have joy and fulfillment in my career? Do I have joy and fulfillment in my body? Do I have joy and fulfillment in my mind? And when we have to actually stop, and sometimes we don't want to know, because it's easier to just ignore it. But if we stop and we think about it and we have that awareness and we can reflect and say, you know what? No, I don't feel vitality in my body. I'm too tired to get on the floor with my kids or my grandkids. I don't love my job anymore. I'm tired. I'm crying every day. I don't love the fact that I'm sad all the time, or that I'm anxious all the time, or that I'm angry all the time. And when we can take a moment and to recognize that, we can start today to do small things that are going to get us to where we want to go. And you have been such an amazing inspiration from that. Not only taking a complete career change, you started to listen to yourself. You had that awareness like, hey, I just don't know if this is where I'm meant to fulfill the end of my career. And you listened to that and you took small steps. You looked at your body and you're like, you know what? I'm probably not the healthiest version of myself. And I want to be around for my grandson because he's the most important thing to me right now. So you started to take small steps in order to get there. And then you added the Jack Canfield stuff, and then your mind is just going crazy, right? Because you're recognizing how much you can fix your mind and help other people fix their mind. And it all starts with the awareness and then the small steps that we take to get us to where we want to go. But it has to start sometime, because tomorrow might not happen. And if we keep waiting for tomorrow, it's definitely not going to happen, right?
Absolutely. We only have, you only have one life. And so decide what you want to do with it. Decide what changes you want to make. Decide what you want to be in this world and go for it. We're all given the same gifts to use. We're given everything that we're given in our minds, and you can do whatever you want. I'm honestly really saying that. Like, people think, well, I can't do that, or I can't do. Yeah, you can. If you really thought about how to do it, you'd probably figure out a way. I've done things that I never thought would ever happen to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that one of the things that I've heard before we wrap up is I wanted to say that, if you said, Lachelle, if you really wanted to be an NBA basketball player, do you really think that's going to happen? I'm like, right? Like, I don't care how much I dribble and how much I shoot, I'm never going to get to the NBA, right? And so one of the things that I've heard, I think it was Wayne Dyer say, is that if you desire for it and it feels natural, it is your intuition telling you that it's possible. And so listen to that, you guys. Like, what Janice is telling you is that if there's something that you're longing for and you feel like it's this natural part of who you are, but you've been too afraid to actually face it and to do something about it, I want you to listen to that, because you can accomplish whatever you put your mind to if it feels natural and you decide and you put forth the effort to make it happen. Janice, do you have any other last minute things that you want to tell us about? I know you have a program coming up that we are dying to hear all about. So why don't you tell us about that and anything else that you wanted to share before we part?
Yeah, absolutely. I do have a program coming up. It's going to be launching in a few weeks. It's a group coaching program for women. It's called New Year, New You. And you can go to healthcoachjanice.com. There's information on that homepage for you. I always have something free on there as well. So you're welcome to click on that and get some free information as well. But that's going to be a group coaching program where I'm going to help women to just have accountability and camaraderie, education and information. And I'm looking forward to that, so looking forward to that. And don't we need, I am looking forward to 2022, because we got to leave the rest of this behind us.
Oh my goodness. Fresh starts.
I
love Mondays. I love the first. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Keep going. Sorry.
Just, something else to your listeners is just this. I never thought in a million years that I would be where I am right now. Doing my own business, coaching women, being on podcasts. I've been in newspaper articles. I've been in magazines. I never thought I would be where I am right now. Yeah. If I had never taken one step towards that, I wouldn't have been here. And honestly, if the chain of events that happened in my life didn't happen. So the only thing I want to do is just leave you with this, is that look at what's happening in your life right now and look at the signs, and then really decide what you're supposed to do. And if it's moving forward with a new career, don't let the fear stop you.
I love that. And I always ask my guests to give us a parting coaching question to consider. And so you kind of just did. What are your signs that you need to acknowledge? But is there anything else? I didn't want to take the words out of your mouth either. So
no, that's it. That's really it. I mean, what are the signs? Look what's in front of you. What I do with my own clients is really just say, what's happening in your life and what signs are you seeing? What are you seeing? And sometimes it takes a minute to actually visualize what happened. Wow, that did happen. Or wow, I did see that. When you get chills, that's some sign. That's a sign, FYI. And
absolutely.
There's no coincidences.
I just love that. Janice, thank you so much for blessing us with everything that you shared with us today. And you guys, we are so grateful that you're here tuning in to the Unstuck Podcast. Make sure that you take a picture of us and share out with your stories so that you can let everybody else know how amazing Janice was today and how much you learned. And you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Janice, thank you so much for sharing your heart today. And I just bless you and everything else that you're doing to make a difference in the world. So
thank you so much, Lachelle. It was fabulous to be here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Bye, friend. Thank you so much for listening to the Unstuck Podcast. I am so grateful to be on this journey with you. And don't forget to check out the show notes if you want to get into my private club, the Better Club, to be able to learn better ways to be better, do better, and have better. So until next time, keep showing up. Let's get unstuck together. Have a great day.